So you're in first gear, pedal assist, throttle only. So moving to second gear, slight uptick in amperage, and then it's going to steady out. Third gear. Fourth gear. The same. Hello and welcome to Random Things. This is Ty, and for this video we're going to take the Lectric XPremium out and do a throttle only distance test. And so what I want to do is I want to see with a full battery how far can I get just using throttle, because according to the manual and in the in the advertising, they say that you can get about 50 miles going throttle only. Now, here's a couple of caveats. On the electric bikes, the controllers are set up so that when you use throttle only, it will limit you to 20 miles an hour. It does not matter if you change it from a class 2 or a class 3. And so when they limit you to 20 miles an hour, that's also going to limit that amp draw. And so I want to see what is the actual distance with that limited amp draw with these two batteries. The other questions that I want to see is, does it matter if I change gears? Will it change the amp draw as well as the top speed? I've already answered that in the intro video. As you can see, with the exception of the first and second gear, where the gear ratio is for climbing, and so the front cranks are spinning as fast as they can, but it's not going to go to 20 miles an hour. But by the time you get to third gear and then fourth gear, it will get to 20 miles an hour, but then it will cap out. Go to fifth gear, sixth gear, and seventh gear, it's not going to go any faster, and the amp draw is not going to go any higher. It's going to stay around 10 to 12 amps. Other questions we want to answer is, does changing the pedal assist mode affect the top speed using throttle only? Also, how does climbing a hill affect the actual speed and amp draw when you're in throttle only mode? And then lastly, and the biggest question, how far can we get with a full battery going throttle only? Because according to the manual, it's supposed to be around 50 miles. Now, I'm about 200 pounds. My bike with the gear I pack is probably about 90 pounds. So add it together, throw in a little bit of fudge factor, you're looking at a 300-pound setup. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to get that 50 miles, but we're going to give it a shot. Also, it'd be good to know exactly what the cutoff voltage is. In other words, when will the voltage go out? And then when the voltage goes out, what happens? And so, hope you keep watching, and we're going to go through those questions throughout this video, and at the end, we'll summarize the discussion, and so I will see you at the end. So we are at 66 miles starting, and we're going to start at 55 volts. So hopefully at the end we'll see what kind of distance we get and what the final voltage is. Okay, so I'm running on fourth gear and it's going 21 miles an hour. See if I can cycle through the full amps, 14 amps. Incline now, so definitely slowing down, still in third gear. Just catch those roadies. Oh, come on, this is killing me, not pedaling. Alright, running throttle only, slight incline. See if I can chase down those road bikers. Still in third gear. Coming up on those roadies. speed check. Running throttle only pedal assist mode doesn't really affect. Alright, speed check. Now that I'm less than 45 volts, you look at the current, it's only going to max out at 10 amps. It's not going to let me go higher than 10 amps. So then you're going to feel like it's really sluggish getting up to speed. Oh, no more bars. 41.4 volts. If I let off on the gas, bounces back to 42.9. It's flashing. I think that's it. I think we're about at the end of the line. That's it. That's all she wrote. No more. So I apologize for all the noise. Trying to record while you're riding, there's a lot of background noise, so it's a little hard to hear. So let's summarize. In terms of changing gears while using throttle only, once you reach 20 miles an hour in gear 4, if you decide to change gears to gear 5, 6, or 7, it's not going to change your top speed. The current draw is going to be capped at around 10 to 12 amps. What you may experience though is, let's say if you had it in 7th gear and you were at a dead stop and you wanted to start. Well, that's like trying to start your car from a dead stop in 4th or 5th gear. For those of you that are familiar with manual transmissions, you want to put it back into 1st or 2nd gear or 1st gear to get going. And so once you put it in 4th gear, it's basically going to get you to your 20 miles an hour, and you don't really have to go any higher than 4th gear. In terms of changing the pedal assist modes, that's not going to change how quickly you get to that 20 miles an hour. The current draw while using throttle is the same no matter what pedal assist mode you're on, because you're not pedaling, you're just using throttle. And so you can leave it on pedal assist 1, or actually I find that for this particular bike, if you leave it on pedal assist 3, that's when you actually start to really feel the difference. So I like to keep it at pedal assist 3, kind of as the baseline PAS mode. In terms of climbing a hill, well, the bike did feel the hill. It did slow down, but I didn't have to add to the pedaling. It did make it up the hill in a pretty decent pace. Went from 20 to about 15 miles an hour. It was a little hill, but I was able to ultimately catch those roadies. In terms of the ultimate distance, well, I wanted to run the battery. As you recall, we started the battery at 55 volts, and I wanted to run the battery till it's dead. But what I learned was, once you get past 45 volts, the computer does something special. The computer will start to limit your current output to only 10 amps. And this is its way of conserving energy to get you that last couple miles home before you completely run out. So after 45 volts, you're only going to be able to draw 10 amps. And then, as you saw from the video, when you get to 40.8 volts, running volts, it basically is out of juice. So we start at 55 volts, and 0, basically no more power, is at 41, just under 41 volts. But what interesting that happens is, even though you're out of battery for the motor, the lights do stay on. So that's good, because I was riding home at night, and so I needed a light to help me finish the ride home. So that's a relief to know that it's not going to go so low that basically it powers everything off. You will still have some basic functions, like you'll be able to see the computer, and you'll be able to have your lights so that you can hopefully ride home. Now, I didn't have a chance to see how much longer it would last, but given that it's LED, I'm guessing that it's really not going to take that much battery. And so the light should last you long enough to pedal your little bati back home. Lastly, in the ultimate question, how far did I get? Well, according to Strava, I got 44 miles. Now, the onboard computer, I did the math, it was kind of closer to 48, but I trust the GPS more than the onboard computer because that odometer is dependent on the tire setting, the tire diameter setting that you input into the computer. And I'm not sure I have that completely dialed in correctly. So I trust GPS, and GPS says 44 miles. Now, that's not quite the 50 miles, but I gotta say, it's actually better than I thought it would. I thought I was going to run out of batteries around 35 to 38 miles, but it gave me that extra 4 or 5 miles. And I think partly because of that current control that happens after 45 volts. And so with this bike and my weight of 200, little over 200 pounds, I was able to get over 40 miles. And that's a big improvement compared to the Lectric XP 2.0 with a single battery. So with that, I hope you found this video helpful. And if you did, please hit the like and share button. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. That would really help me out. And as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next random video. Cheers.